Thanks. I totally would have forgotten. Cool. So, well, Jess, what's one thing you're grateful for today?
Oh, the sunshine. I left school today and the sun was shining, even though it was cool. It just felt so wonderful on my face. And then I sort of ran to the next thing or the next appointment of the day, but the sun shining really just was, I needed it today. So I was grateful for that.
Yeah, Jess and I live in the same town, and it was just a gorgeous day. So I'm grateful for that too. I got to go to the park today with my kiddos and just had a blast in the sun. I know we won't be getting to do that in for the next couple months, so
Hmm.
yeah, I'm so glad. Cool. Well, we'll go ahead and get started with the presentation. So today I called this webinar, this is Red, Yellow, Green, the harsh truth about being productive or not in your young living business. So I think this is something that we all struggle with our businesses, and kind of knowing where to put your time and what that next step is, and just how to organize your brain and your business, because most of us are building these businesses around our children, around our marriages, around our day jobs, and so it can be really stressful to know how to be productive. So that's what this webinar is all about. And our mission, the reason that we're doing these webinars is like we so badly want to help and encourage everyone to reach new heights of success in their young living business. We are here to push you towards greatness and leadership and to help you achieve true abundance. So it's something that I'm really honored to call my job, because it's so rewarding to be able to help everyone achieve their highest potential. So I want to thank everyone for being here today, and just as a reminder, you can join us every first and third Tuesday of the month for a webinar. The first Tuesday of the month we cover a Young Living product, so it's a really good way to just learn about other essential oils and other Young Living products. And then the third Tuesday of the month we talk about business. So if you are pursuing the Young Living business opportunity and want to get some tips on building your business, then join us every third Tuesday. And we usually post that invite in the Revolution Oils business office. So make sure you're just there every once in a while and looking for that invite, or just talk to a leader, whoever one of us leaders, the Katie or Jess. Just make sure you tell them, like, hey, I want to get on that next webinar. Make sure you let me know when that is. Okay, so on today's webinar, we are going to talk about productivity. This is like huge in your young living business. There's so many people when they wanna start their young living business, and they just don't really know where to start. They don't know how to organize their time. They feel kind of lost and confused. They start thinking, okay, like, my kid's down for a nap. I've got 1 hour to do some work. Well, what should I do? Should I do the boot camp? Should I do a local event? Should I start teaching classes? Should I do care calls now? Facebook marketing, follow-ups, graphics, blogging, promotions, webinars, customer service. We've always got our customers that need us. Or maybe I should concentrate on team building. Or maybe I should do a make and take. Or what about social media? There's so many different activities that you can do to build your young living business, and sometimes it can just feel really overwhelming. So today's webinar, we're going to sort of concentrate on how to take that overwhelming feeling out of it, and just understand that there are different types of work that you do in your young living business. So there's 3 types of work. And not just for your young living business, but for any business. There's always going to be the 3 types of work. There's red, which is the planning, the learning, the reflecting. There's yellow, which is maintaining, improving, and making things. And we're going to break all this down a little more later. And then there's green, which is implementing, moving, doing, action. I was just talking to Jess before the webinar started, and I was like, I had a very green day. It was just go, 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 just action, action, action. So which activity do you think would be the most important for your Young Living business? So go ahead and type into the chat box. Although there is a huge delay for the chat box, so this might not work as well as I wanted it to. Oh, and Chrissy says it sounds funny on her end. Is the sound okay now?
Sounding better.
Okay, great. Yeah, sometimes my microphone does a weird, like, robot-y thing, so.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it was doing, but it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know why it does that. I don't know if it's my internet or the mic. All right, so what activity do you think is the most important in a Young Living business? Well, it's definitely a trick question because it's all of them, right? We really need to understand that we can't just be go, go, go all the time. I fall into this trap a lot. I'm just like, go, 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 action, 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 and then I don't stop and reflect and plan, and then I don't improve on what I'm doing and reflect. So definitely you need to find a way to balance out all three of these types of activities. Extremes are easy. Strive for balance. I really like that quote. So just some examples of different activities. So the red activities, which are like the planning and the learning and the reflecting. So an example of that would be writing out your why. So if you, like my personality is very much attracted to the green stuff, you know, I'm just like, whatever, I don't need to write down my why. I just want to do it. I just want to work. And, you know, I for a while, I kind of skipped over a lot of the planning. But it's super important because when you write down your why, that's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you motivated to do that green work. Some other examples, setting your financial goals. Taking a personality test. It took me, I was so resistant to this. I was like, I don't have time to take a personality test. I don't care about that. I don't care about what personality types my team are. But this stuff is, I mean, it's really can make for such a solid foundation of a business when you stop and pause and take the time to do some of these things. Reading a book about network marketing or maybe listening to a podcast, like you need to be studying your industry. Like you are in the network marketing industry, and there's a lot that comes along with that, and there's a lot that you can learn from professionals that talk about our industry. So taking the time to stop and learn can go miles to helping you grow your business if you give it that time. Since we are in the business of essential oils, you know, you need to know about essential oils. You don't need to be an expert, and you don't need to go around like you are an expert and make everyone feel like they have to be experts too, but you do want to be able to answer those questions. When people come to you and say like, hey, I heard this about essential oils, is that true? And you need to say, like, you know what, I just read a book about that, and I learned a lot, and here's what I learned, and you know what, I think you would really like this book too. Listening to YL Fast Track calls, which unfortunately were taken down, but I think they're kind of coming back up. But you know, finding those business calls, those business resources, like the webinar that you're on now, I'm really proud of you guys that are here on this webinar because this is a red activity. This is where you're going to be learning how to grow your business, and a lot of people like to skip over that part. If you're interested in, you know, online marketing, which is something I'm really passionate about, you know, you need to pause and take the time to learn about internet marketing. Wow, everything just went really quiet. Can you guys still hear me? Maybe they paused themselves.
Yeah, I just muted myself over here.
Oh, okay, good. It kind of creeped me out. I was like, wait, it's so quiet. And then, like, taking a personal growth course, you know, like they say network marketing businesses are really just personal growth disguised as a compensation plan. And I think that that's really true, you know, so making sure that you're taking the time to work on your personal growth is really huge. So that kind of gives you an idea of what those red activities are. And Someone like me, I tend to gloss over a lot of the red activities, and I really pay the price later. I mean, I could tell you so many stories of how had I just stopped and did some planning and did a little bit of extra research, I would have saved myself tons of time in the end. And then there's some personalities that all they want to do is red activities, right? All they want to do is read book after book after book and go to webinar after webinar after webinar about essential oils or about network marketing and how to grow a business, but they don't ever put it into action. So here's a good quote that I think relates to the whole red activities. So often people are working hard at the wrong thing. Working on the right thing is probably more important than working hard. I think that's so true. I definitely have paid the price on working really hard, but not necessarily at the right thing, and you end up wasting a lot of time, a lot of energy, and it can be really crushing when you look back and say, oh man, I really needed to learn more about X, Y, and Z before I just went and did it. So some examples of yellow activities: maintaining, which is like the maintaining, improving, and making things. So I think all of us are guilty of spending way too much time on Facebook, right? Checking Facebook notifications, checking in the Facebook rooms. Like, yeah, are you with me, Jess, Chrissy?
Yes, I am.
Way too much time, but it's important. It is part of your job. That is how we maintain our customer relationships. That's how we improve. That's how we stay up to date on things, is on Facebook. So it is an important activity, but it's not the only activity that you need to be doing in your Young Living business. Answering emails, same thing. Here's a really good productivity tip that I hear time after time after time from professional entrepreneurs is, if you wake up in the morning and you've got a chunk of time that you can work, that you can dedicate to your Young Living business, do not open your inbox. That is not the first thing you need to be doing, because that puts you on other people's agendas. If you only have, let's say theoretically your kid goes down for a nap and you've got a glorious 1 hour of uninterrupted time to devote to your business, do not go to your email inbox. Do a project, do something that's on your agenda. Otherwise, you're just going to constantly be living your life on other people's agendas, answering questions, things like that. It is an important part of maintaining a business. Don't get me wrong, like you do need to set that time, but that doesn't need to be your prime time. Yellow activities are really best to do after you've done your prime time, because we all have like our peak energy levels. Like some people are really energized and really ready to like go to work and be creative first thing in the morning. And so if that's you, just be aware of that and say, you know what, that's not when I'm going to do my yellow activities. For me, the afternoon is like my sluggish time. That's when I'm tired and I'm eating lunch and I'm just kind of sluggish, and so that's usually when I'll do like my yellow activities and catch up on that kind of stuff. Handling customer service issues. Sending thank you cards to members or gifts to your team. This is a really important activity. I kind of almost put this in the green zone, but I put it in the yellow zone because really this is all about maintaining and improving your relationships with people that are already your customers. So, I kind of think of green activities as going out and getting new customers. But if you don't concentrate on nourishing your relationships with the customers you already have, that's not going to be very good for your Young Living business. So make sure that you do devote that time on improving those relationships that you have. And then some other yellow activities like updating your profile description. Like if you have a professional presence on Facebook, make sure that your bio reflects that. So take the time to improve your social media presence. If you have a blog, let's say, I think Chrissy has a blog, I have a blog, and you're spending time on there, writing a blog article is like you're making something, which is cool, but not publishing. So actually writing that article would be like a yellow activity, and then publishing it and marketing it and sharing it, that's actually a green activity. So I'll kind of explain the difference in a little bit. Do we have any questions before I go on? I'm not really looking at the chat box, so you guys just let me know if I need to pause or anything like that.
I don't see any questions.
Okay, great.
Great.
So more yellow activities, adding prospects to your list. So, if in Young Living, you need to have your prospect list. You need to have just I don't care how you do it. It could be pen and paper. It could be a fancy online program, but have a list of prospects, have a list of people that you are going to contact about essential oils or talk to about the business opportunity, or that person that you ran into at the grocery store and you said, hey, I'm doing essential oils, we need to talk about this. Write that down and put that in your prospect list, because if you don't, you're going to forget it later. So that's a really good yellow activity. Improving the look of your website. I'm really guilty of getting really caught up in obsessing over my color scheme and my fonts and how everything's laid out on my website, and that I get really caught up in that kind of work, which is it's good stuff to do, but you have to stay in balance with it. That can't be all that you do. You got to have some meat and potatoes there. And then creating a PowerPoint or a webinar. So for example, the PowerPoint that I'm showing right now, I had to take the time to make it, right? I had to take the time to plan out this webinar, write out what I wanted to talk about, and then make this PowerPoint. And then what I'm doing right now, actually presenting this PowerPoint, is a totally other thing. That's a totally green activity. But had I not done that, had I not made this PowerPoint, I wouldn't be able to sit here and do it today. And just to kind of fill you guys in, today I had a totally green day, right? I had an interview this afternoon for a doula client, and then I taught an essential oil class at a friend's house for 12 people tonight, and then I came home and I jumped on this webinar and I did it. And so all of those activities I would not have been able to do had I not put in all my yellow work to get me there. Had I not put in my time getting together my client folders for my doula interview, and not put the time into putting my class box together. When I teach an essential oil class, I have my box, I take it out, I can throw it in the trunk, and I can go, because I put the time into putting that all together and getting everything kind of streamlined. And then checking your downline viewer, for stats and issues. You should be doing this, if not every day, then, it depends on the size of your organization, but definitely be checking your downline viewer just to make sure ER orders are processed and things like that. So this is all really yellow activity, and I think a lot of people get really stuck in the yellow zone, and they don't really know how to get out of that yellow zone. They feel like they're just planning all the time and not really actually doing anything. But it is really important work, because if you're not taking the time to maintain the relationships that you have and making sure that your systems are still functioning and in place, your business is going to kind of collapse. It takes months to find a customer and seconds to lose one. So we want to be nourishing those relationships that we have with our customers. Customer satisfaction is worthless. Customer loyalty is priceless. So don't, I'm kind of guilty about just focusing too much on the green activities of just getting customers, new signups. That's all I want is new signups, but I don't necessarily put that same amount of energy into maintaining those customer relationships. So the yellow, it's really important, but again, you got to find balance. All right, so the green activities, which are the growing, implementing, doing, action stuff, just some examples would be calling prospects about business or product opportunities. So, like I said, you've got to keep a list of your prospects and maintain that, so that when you do carve out that time to do some green activities, that's when you actually call them, right? I know people are really scared to call people, but if you've got that time in your business to dedicate to really getting stuff done, you're tired of just planning all the time, you're tired of just thinking about it all the time, pick up the phone, do some green activities. when you're scheduling things, so it takes talking to people to actually get those classes on the calendar or get those coffee dates on the calendar, and that's what really makes your business grow. Your business will grow as much as your calendar is full. So concentrate on getting that calendar full. Care calls, I put this in the green zone. Maybe it could have gone in the yellow zone because it is about maintaining relationships, but I put it in the green just because care calls have such a possibility for growth in your business. Like taking the time to actually talk to your customers and walk them through how to use their oils, check up on them. If there's probably the most neglected area in most people's Young Living businesses is doing care calls, but it can be one of the greatest like growth things that you can do. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I totally agree. I think that so much of the success in my Young Living business comes from personal relationships, and that comes from care calls.
Yeah, I agree. People also feel really special when you call them and talk to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Marketing and sharing your blog article. So I talked about with yellow activities when you sit down and you actually write out a blog article or you write out some genius, webinar that you're going to do. Well, that's an important step, but you also have to take the time to implement it and market it, and not just say, oh yeah, I'm going to do that webinar tomorrow night. Let me, put a link up somewhere really quickly. If you don't spend the time and actually plan out like how you're going to get people to that webinar, how you're going to get people to see that blog article and publish it and then share it, it's just not going to be seen by as many people. So you need to be spending time on actually marketing and making sure that people are seeing your genius work, right? And then actually doing a webinar, like just do it. That's all I got to say. Like, just do it. It's really scary to do your first webinar, and I know it is. So team up. Get with your sponsor. Get with a Crossline person. Get with whoever is also really scared about doing webinars, and just do it, because that's what's going to expose people to your business. That's what's going to make you grow. And then along with doing the webinar, you actually have to market the webinar too. So you got to do both, or otherwise no one's going to see your webinar. Teach an oil class. Follow up with leads. Market a promo. Do a fun promotion this month, but don't say, oh, you know what? I think this month I'm going to give away a free bottle of orange oil to anyone that buys a kit or something. Well, that's a great idea. Make sure you're marketing it. Make sure you're putting it out there so people can see it, and calling people and saying, hey, did you see this? Or private message someone, hey, did you check out my special? Or whatever. It depends on kind of what your internet presence is. You can go really in depth with that or not, but just make sure that you're putting time into people seeing your stuff, not just throwing it out there. If you want to place a Facebook ad, that can be a really good green activity. And then taking that time to connect with other bloggers. If you're trying to build a network with people, don't be shy. Put yourself out there. Reach out to a blogger that isn't already selling Young Living and be like, hey, I like your stuff. Like, let's connect. Don't just write them for the first time and say, hey, sell Young Living with me. Take the time to just connect with them, and that can be a really good green activity too. So from Bruce Lee, knowing is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do. So that's what the green activities are, and some people are really scared of them. Some people get really scared of actually implementing and taking that step outside of the decision and outside of the planning and actually going out and doing it. But you can do it. We can all do it. I like this quote too. The distance between your dreams and reality is called action, right? And this is also one of my favorites. I had to throw it in there. Entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. I kind of felt like this today because there was a lot. I was doing a lot today. It was a lot of action, and I think a lot of people are not really willing to do all that, but it's so worth it if you can just keep that end goal in mind. All right, so how are we going to kind of implement all of this information? Well, the big takeaway that I want you to realize for tonight is that you need to find balance in all of this, and you need to find your own rhythm and your routine of how you're going to be implementing these different types of work in Young Living. So how can we apply this? Well, there's different ways we can do it, but one thing you can do is just make a list of all of the different activities that you feel like you need to be doing in your Young Living business right now. And, you know, start it simple if you want. Just make a list of like 5 things that you know that you should be doing. And then break them into different color categories. And then you can either, you know, pick one color per day and be like, you know what, today I'm having a green day. I'm just going to do it. Or, you know what, today I'm just going to plan it out and have a red day. Or today I'm just going to learn about network marketing. Or pick 3 colors per day and say, you know what, in the morning I'm going to plan. It's going to be all red. And then in the afternoon I'm going to maintain, and it'll be all yellow. And then in the evening, after the kids go to bed, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to do that webinar. I'm going to whatever. Or break it up into weeks, you know, be like red week, yellow week, green week. So it really depends on your personality. And this might not work for everybody, but it's a kind of a cool idea, right? It's kind of an interesting way to think about how can I plan out my Young Living business. You really need to find your own rhythm. Don't do what I do. You know, like I do all 3 colors every day, but I have like different kind of sections that I work on every day, or different like aspects of my enterprise, as I call it, and I kind of break up my day with like red, yellow activities throughout the day, and that's what works for me, but it just totally depends on you. Justin, Chris, do you guys want to kind of talk a little bit about like what your days look like or what your weeks look like and kind of where you spend your energy?
Well, you have me very inspired to sort of switch the way I'm doing things. My days are unique right now because I am in the last semester of grad school, and so I felt very, very organized with my Young Living business before the semester started. And honestly, I'm working overtime right now, so I feel like I'm mostly in green. I have a full calendar, and I'm just going and doing and doing in all areas of my life. But I'm wanting more time for the other categories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely feel like depending on what's going on that time of the month, it sort of changes. Because if I've run, you know, a promotion for my members, if they spend so much PV and then they get something from me, I end up spending, you know, that first week of the month doing, you know, those little like mailing out packages, and so that feels very yellow and not very productive. So I end up spending my precious nap time doing those things, which after I'm done, I'm like, I just spent, you know, a few hours doing all of that, but I mean, it needs to get done. So, you know, being okay with the fact that you didn't get to anything green that day is okay, because you know next week, you know, you can do a lot more green. Or so I think just being okay and knowing that it sort of goes in waves sometimes, you know, is just sort of how the business works.
Yeah.
And
well, that's a good point too. Go ahead, Jess.
I was just going to say that is one of the wonderful parts about our Young Living businesses is they really can kind of just roll along with what we have going on in our lives. We're all busy moms, and so we can work our businesses around whatever busyness might be going on in other parts of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I wanted to mention too that with Young Living in particular, we have very cyclical businesses because everything revolves around the month, the monthly cycle, right?
Yeah.
And so the end of the month, and this becomes a lot more evident when your business grows and you have a much larger organization, but the end of your month tends to get consumed with yellow activities like customer service. You're checking up on, oh, that person's ER order didn't go through this month, I need to follow up with that. So I think for those people that are kind of hesitant or resistant to the yellow activities because they just want to go, go, go all the time, or they're stuck in red and they just want to plan all the time, kind of maybe write a little sticky note maybe it's a yellow sticky note and it says yellow activities for the last 4 days of the month, because if you don't do that, there's a lot of stuff that's going to fall through the cracks. So with Young Living especially because it's such a monthly cycle thing.
Yeah.
And then, the month turns around and it's like, wow, it's a fresh new month. Maybe I'll spend that first couple days really in the red zone and planning out what I want the rest of my month to look like. Mm-hmm. And then, the next week be like, all right, I've planned it out. Let's green it up. Let's go, go, go. So I don't know. That's just an interesting way that you could sort of think about it.
Yeah, and I think that like the red like planning should just be sort of sprinkled a little, for me I feel like it works best to sprinkle it throughout the month because I was waiting until the beginning of the month to like, okay, now it's the new month. I've just, rallied to get everything done at the end of the month. Now it's the new month. Now I got to plan for this month and then it's like half over before you know it. So sprinkling a little planning in throughout the month, looking ahead, I think is really good. And then, if you are color coding it, making sure you have a lot of green. Mm-hmm. A lot of action, because I think that, getting things done in the green zone makes you successful at your business.
Yes, I agree. And I found myself in a similar place, Chrissy, where around the first or second day of the month, I would think about classes. And in the last few months, I've set the goal to have the following month's classes planned out. At least maybe 3 classes that I have on the calendar set and ready to go before the month starts. And then if I get a few additional classes, and I'm talking about classes that I'm leaving my house for. Certainly I'm doing other things online, but if I get a few others, wonderful, that's sort of icing on the cake, but I find that I'm less stressed if I have those in place before the month starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always felt bad, like in the month that I'm trying to focus on, looking ahead and planning classes for the next month, because I'm like, I want to, get more going this month. But then you get to the next month and you're like, crap, people need a little
right.
So I think that's a really good, plan all of your next month in the previous month and then just, be grateful for anything extra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we have to find a harmony with it, but I do find that people that tend to do a lot of green, like they're the kind of go-getter types and they just do it. They might make some mistakes every now and then, and maybe they could have done it better and whatnot. But you know what? They're the ones that are learning from their mistakes, and like there's going to be a point where they're like, oh shoot, I really need to kind of study this more, and that's okay. You don't have to be perfect. But I guess I'm talking mostly to the people that are kind of stuck in red, like. Get out there and do some green because that's how you're really going to learn. You're going to learn from your mistakes and you're going to learn from those actions. And, when you start teaching like let's say you just jump in and you're teaching classes and then you realize, oh my gosh, I don't even have a system in place to follow up with these people. Mm-hmm. Well, that's gonna make your mind go, all right, well then let's get a system going, you know. But you might not realize what you need to do until you just start doing it, right? Mm-hmm. So just some quick advice about how to be intentional with your time. This has revolutionized my life. Planning out your day the night before and writing it down and getting like really detailed, like really prioritizing, you know what, these are the action steps that I need to take tomorrow, and write them down right before you go to bed. And this not only will make you sleep better because you're just that anxiety before bed of like the million things running around your head of all the things that you have to get done, whatever, it's just going to float away because you know what, you wrote down what the most important things are that you're going to do tomorrow, and you're going to write down when you're going to do them too. You know, like in the morning, I'm going to do those care calls, or in the afternoon, I'm going to call my prospects about teaching oil classes, you know, and that kind of thing. Or you know what, oh shoot, and you'll realize like, oh shoot, I have a oil class tomorrow night. I haven't even printed out my handouts, you know, so then you're going to write down in the morning, I'm going to print out my handouts. So that can be, that's revolutionized my life, is just really like I have that list in my iPhone, and every morning I write down what I'm going to do the next day, and that's been really helping me.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. And then this I really can't stress enough, especially for stay-at-home moms that are trying to work a Young Living business. Know what those work times are for you and protect it as much as you can. Protect it from the kids, and then protect it from emails, what I was talking about earlier. When you have that time, that glorious uninterrupted time, don't start checking your emails, and don't go on Facebook, because you know what, you're going to do that stuff. I know you, if you're anything like me, you're going to get on Facebook when your kids are around, and you're going to just, you know, answer that message here and there. And you know, I think we all need to find more balance with that. I'll be the first to admit that, you know, I totally put business in front of my kids sometimes, and that's like something I'm really working on. And this is really helping me in realizing, like, you know what, I really need to plan out my yellow times too. And that's just me. But especially for your green times, like, know what those times are and protect it. Turn off your phone. I started doing this when not anymore, because my kid doesn't nap anymore in the middle of the day, but he used to take like a 2 to 3 hour nap in the middle of the day. And I had a newborn, and newborns are pretty easy. You strap them on in your baby carrier, and you know, you can get to work. And so it was practically uninterrupted 2 to 3 hours a day that I got to commit to my Young Living business for a while. And I would literally shut power off my phone, put down Facebook, not look at my emails, and oh my God, it was the most like productive months of my life, because I was just like totally focused, you know. And then I'd turn my phone back on, and I'd have like 3 text messages and like, you know, 20 Facebook notifications, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness I turned all that off, because I would not have gotten anything done.
Yes.
Just some more tips for green and red activities. Like I just said, turn off your phone. And then here's a really awesome tip. If you do have to do work online, well, first of all, I'll say, like, a lot of times we think, like, when we go to work, the first thing we do is we open our computers and we go online. But maybe pause and think, you know what, do I really need to be online right now? Like, maybe if you need to write an article, or you need to make a PowerPoint or something, like maybe you can do most of that work offline and then go online later and implement it or something. But if you do need to go online to do some work, like on Canva or PicMonkey or whatever, try to just work in one tab at a time. You know, like by the end of the day, sometimes I've got like 20 tabs open on my computer, and it's chaos, and it's really hard to concentrate when you've got all those million things going on. So that's just a little tip. And then, okay, here's like the magic that a lot of people don't tell you when you start an internet marketing business, a network marketing business. But to be successful in your Young Living business, you need to be putting in, I'd say, a minimum 5 hours a week. So, but really 5 to 15 hours a week of mostly green work. So I know I say that you need to balance, and you really do need to have that balance and that harmony. But if you want to be growing and not just paying for your products, you need to know when those 5 to 15 hours are a week and be consistent with it. And that might sound like a lot at first, but really it's not that much. That's like 1 hour a night minimum. But the key is just to be consistent with it and to protect it and be really intentional with how you're going to spend that time. Okay, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to play Guess That Color a little bit, but we're going kind of late, and because of the lag time of the webinar and the chat box, I'm just going to kind of fly through it really quick. All right, so Guess That Color. Checking emails. Yellow. Asking someone to host a class. That's a green, because you're interacting with someone and you're putting those classes on the calendar. Creating this PowerPoint, like I said, is yellow. Because remember, I love this quote, 5 frogs are on a log, 4 decide to jump off, and how many are left? Well, all of them, because deciding and doing are 2 different things. So 5 frogs on a log, 4 decide to jump off, but there's still 5 left. So that's kind of the difference between, you know, planning this webinar and making the PowerPoint and then like actually doing it, right? Reading a book about network marketing. I can't stress enough how important this is, but that can't be all that you're doing, but it is important. Sending your team thank you cards and gifts. That's a yellow. You're maintaining those relationships and you're growing those relationships with people. Super important stuff. Creating an internet marketing strategy. So if you are going to be serious about growing your Young Living business, using the power of the internet, you want to have an internet marketing strategy in place. So you need to stop and pause and take the time to kind of learn what that's all about. And so if you need help with that, go to your sponsor, or at least me, like I'm super passionate about internet marketing. I love it. So it's cool stuff. Going to convention, it's a green activity that you all need to do. It will grow your business like crazy. So in a nutshell, I just want you to be aware and just keep yourself in check. If you feel like you're getting really out of balance, spending too much time on one area, just keep yourself in check and realize, you know, you need to find balance. If you ever feel like you're constantly doing, but not getting anything done, do this exercise. So if you're still watching, get out a pen and paper. I want you to write some stuff down for me. Let me get a sip of water. Because I think we all kind of feel this way sometimes, like we're just like working and doing all the time, and then we kind of look back at our day and we're like, huh, what did I do? What did I get done today? So write down, where are you spending most of your time lately? You know, is it on Facebook? Is it on emails? Is it reading books? Is it teaching classes? Just be aware. Where are you spending that time? And then which areas of your business are you ignoring? I think that we can sort of like suppress this and kind of in the back of our heads we're like, oh, I really need to make those care calls. So write it down. Write down, what are you ignoring right now? Are you maybe not teaching classes yet? You know you should, but you just don't really know how to go about it yet. Like, write it down. And then also write down what's one task you've been dreading for your young, like maybe it's a webinar, like, I just don't want to do it. Well, I want you to write it down. And then try to, here's, like, so if you've got those activities that you're dreading or you just haven't started yet, think about, is there a red or a yellow or a green activity that maybe you need to do first before you can go on and do that other activity. So for example, like teaching an oil class, maybe that feels really intimidating for you. So, what's like a red or a yellow activity that you need to do before actually teaching that class? Well, for teaching an oil class, like first you would have to learn how to do that. So find a script and start reading it. Find a list of resources or a list of materials that you need to teach that class, and then the next yellow activity would be putting that box together, putting together that classroom in a box. And once you do those 2 steps, then you're going to just naturally feel so much confident and so much more confident and so much more ready to teach that class. So that's just one example. And so when you think of that activity that's really holding you back that you know you need to do, start to break that, because usually if it sounds like a task, like teaching an oil class might sound like a task, but that's actually a project and not a task. And that project we can break down into little 10-minute tasks. Or for example, like doing care calls. So if maybe you're really scared of doing care calls, well, what are some 10-minute tasks that can make that care call not seem so intimidating? Well, first you could find a script to do a care call. That's only going to take you 10 minutes. And then make a list of all the people that you need to care call. That would maybe only take you 10 minutes. And then boom, now you're ready to do it, But so just taking the time to sort of realize maybe there's some task I need to do before I'm really ready to go into the green. I like this quote. You have to get up every morning and say to yourself, I can do this. So that's it. I'll just leave it on this quote because it's so motivating. If anyone has any questions, put them into the chat box. And yeah, I just kind of want to hear what Chrissy and Jess have to say about everything I just flew through really quickly. If you want to add anything while people are thinking of questions to put in, go ahead and speak up.
Sure.
I love the last part that you said, is there a red or a yellow you need to do before you can do this green that you've been putting off or are scared to do? I typed it in the box, but for those that listen on the replay, I'll just share out loud. So before I moved to Atlanta in June, I did yoga teacher training, and I have been putting off going to audition, just putting it off and putting it off. And I really need to go do it because I know that I'll meet an entire community of people and people that I know will be interested in oils. So the thing I need to do before I go audition is rememorize the sequence, and I've just been putting it off. But it's actually, you'd think that it's not related to my Young Living business, but it's directly related because I know once I get in there and I'm teaching and I'm meeting people, my Young Living business will grow. So that is the one thing I need to focus on and actually do.
Love it. Yeah, I actually got that productivity tip from Shalene Johnson, who I know you listen to as well. She's like the queen of productivity. So, yeah, you should listen to her podcast. It's great if you're not already.
Yeah, she is awesome. You can follow her on Periscope too.
Yeah, I love her. How about you, Jess? Anything you want to add?
Sure. You did a really nice job presenting lots of great ideas. I've been taking notes. I am excited to turn over a new leaf starting tomorrow. One thing that sort of jumped out to me with the different colors, you had mentioned sticky notes. And at one point, I started using a system where I had 3 separate columns, and it was something similar to do now, do later today, and can wait until tomorrow. But I like the idea of using a green, a red, and a yellow, and kind of setting them out. I have a big whiteboard that I stick sticky notes on and that I also write on. But I love the idea of writing those ideas down on sticky notes, color coding them, and putting them all out there to see, and kind of weighing the amount, and if I need to add more green or if I need to maybe do a little bit more yellow. I know right now I probably need to work more on yellow than green, and so just visually seeing it I think would be a good motivator and also a good way to organize. I love the color coding system. Your color coding system.
Well, yeah, I love that. That's a great visual idea. I think that would be really cool. we all need to find some way to organize our brains. Our brains are, there's so much information that we have to process. I think I read somewhere that I think it was like 20 years ago, the human brain had to process the equivalent of maybe like 5 newspapers a day of information, worth of information. And now with the internet and social media and iPhones and stuff, it's jumped up to like 82 newspapers a day. That like our brains literally have to consume like 82 newspaper worth of information a day.
Wow.
And it's like no wonder we're all crazy, right?
Yes.
Oh, well, thanks everyone for being here tonight. I don't see any questions, so I'll go ahead and stop the broadcast. So unless you guys have anything else you want to add.
I don't. I think that was wonderful. Thanks so much.
Great. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks, and we'll see you all next Tuesday. I think Katie, well, we'll have to check with Katie because her time zone changed. That this time's kind of hard for her, so we'll see. But we'll let everyone know when the next webinar is, and thank you guys for being here. Good night.
Good night.